G'day world, Chris Hogan coming to you live from the Media studio here at Burleigh Heads on the Gold Coast. And today we're doing the Proactive podcast. Proactive Team Planner is what we're going to run through today. So previously you would have had your big idea about your new product creation, your new business, your new marketing campaign, and you've used the proactive methodology to process your thoughts. That's the 9-box grid. And we're back into that same grid today, but what's good is to take that idea and start to flesh it out with a team or some friends. So this is a great way to start to break down your idea a little bit further, and you may have got some initial buy-in from your friends and colleagues on your processing of your thoughts, and now it's time to, get into the weeds. So with the first box being purpose, essentially understanding your purpose straight out of the gates is actually pretty hard. You know, you might have a long form way of describing your purpose, and really you might not fully understand your purpose, and it might not actually come out in your marketing content even for some time. So when we want to understand our purpose, what's that all about? It's more like understanding the problems that you solve. And so when you're actually going through this team planner, you can work with your team on those problems that you solve. So we've divided these boxes, all of these boxes, into 4. Now, why is that? Well, firstly, there's 4 quarters in the year, and sometimes when you're actually doing this process, not now, but further down the line, you'll be able to identify what quarter 1 problem you're going to solve, 2, 3, and 4, and so on. And all of the other boxes might relate to box number 1. So it's a fantastic way to view your 1-page marketing strategy in this exact form that we see it here. But for today's purposes, we're actually going to be using it to bounce ideas around the room. So, problem number 1, what are you going to solve? So, let's use Nike as an example, because I referred to them before, and nearly all of us would know who they are, right? So, their purpose was more than likely to, build the best running shoe. Something along those lines, right? And so what problem are they actually solving in problem number 1? It might be that the cushioning was all wrong, right? The actual, now, sorry, I don't understand all of the terms of a shoe, but the sole, for example, was it cushioning the heel well enough? Was it cushioning the toe well enough? Was it opting for a mid-strike? What was the purpose of that individual shoe? So if we're just talking about runners, let's stay with runners. Problem number 1, it might be that, hey, we have to make the sole better. Problem number 2 might be that it needs to be a more breathable shoe. Problem number 3 might be that it needs to be lighter. For example, long distance runners, you decrease the amount of weight that they're carrying around might significantly increase their endurance and their ability to run further. Problem number 4 might be, laces. What's wrong with the laces? Well, maybe they're doing triathlon, still in the running category, and they need to be able to put the shoes on fast. So laces, fast, for example. So with the research, how do we know these problems exist, and what are people going to be searching for on the internet when they're considering these problems? So for example, I want the phrase number 1 might be best running shoe. Okay, what would be another one? Best shoe for endurance. Problem number 4, breathable. So I guess we could be talking about cooling, cooling of the foot, a mesh-related shoe. Maybe there's some kind of material that's used. So maybe mesh sneaker. Do you call them a sneaker? Do you call them a running shoe? Do you call them a sand shoe? There's different nuances per country. So these are the things that we need to consider. So mesh, shoe, sneaker. Might be runner was the other one. Runner. Depending on which country you're in. Phrase 4. Okay, quick laces. Or lace less shoe. What about and again, we're using the word shoe here, but should it be sneaker? Should it be runner? Should it be sand shoe, etc.? So with this research kind of thing, we've come to understand the terms that people might actually be typing in to Google or asking their friends. What's the opportunity? So this is a really interesting, I think, box to actually fill out. For example, so many of us would get excited about the product that we're creating, and they start to think of, wow, like the opportunity is that, we should be at this price point. So what's the value of the shoe? Now, the best way to, I think, start to analyze the industry around the opportunity is to use a methodology from the book Blue Ocean Strategy. And that's called the value innovation curve, otherwise just called innovation curve. Now, don't get that mixed up with the the innovation adoption life cycle. They're two different things. So the value innovation curve is basically an X and Y axis, and along those axes, you've got values, so 0 to 5, and along the y-axis you've got all the products, features and benefits, across all of your competitors. Then the competitors are the lines that you plot on this graph. So Adidas would have a value, price, feature slash benefit, and therefore that value would be high or low. So it's say that it's really high. Value number 5. Then you might go to the next one, and it might be one of these problems along here. So breathable shoe. Is it breathable? So for example, you will then go, well, it's not breathable, so therefore their value is low. So Adidas have shoes out there that are high value in price, but low value in breathability. Are they lighter, etc.? Go through each one of these problems that we identified earlier, and many, many more. There's going to be a multitude of them. And what you're trying to do in this space is name the top 4 features and benefits, right, that you're going to focus on and where you're going to position yourself in the market. So when you've plotted out all of the competition along that X and Y axis, the line being each competitor, then you're going to figure out, well, where's the gap in the market? Where is your blue ocean? It's in between or above or below each one of those competitors. So therefore, that's where you would plot your line. And that's how you carve out a blue ocean for your product or business or even marketing campaign. So feature number 1, sole of shoe better. So we've said in the next one, people are writing a best running shoe. So we know that the problem that we're solving is a better shoe. So better sole for the shoe, best running shoe. We might say, okay, we're going to value this feature. That's definitely a number 1 feature that we're going to focus on. And so we're going to write in there that it's a high value sole. And if you've had anything to do with running, you would probably know that heel strikes is really bad. And so you need to encourage midfoot strikes and all this sort of stuff. So therefore, maybe the shoe focuses specifically on supporting a mid strike. And you've seen all sorts of shoes out there now evolve over the years from really big fat heels to having a curved sole. And that's innovation and evolution of products, right? And also, in line with science. And what I was talking about before is research. Like, how do you know this stuff if you're just a marketing guy like me? Well, you should be reading other books, right, in relation to running. And Dr. Kelly Starrett, referring to other authors and authorities and professionals and experts on the topics that you want to understand. And there's plenty of that content out there now, podcasts, etc. So these are great ways to identify your features and benefits, the problems that you're going to solve. So high value sole, maybe it's differentiated. So what did we say? Curved for mid strike. Really important. So that defined the best running shoe potentially. Phrase 2, mesh shoe. So is that an important feature? Is that still an important feature or benefit? Remember, this is just hashing out ideas. You can go back and scratch these things out, right? And go back and do this all over again. Mesh running shoe. So it's breathable. It's cooler. So what's that term that you might use? Again, that's what happens in your research. Are people actually searching for this stuff? And then you would define that in features and benefits. So it might be that it's cooler shoe, right? You might have to add a sock to this, I guess this range, when you're actually thinking about this. But hey, triathletes might not wear socks. I'm not a triathlete. I'm pretty sure they don't. So we go into feature and benefit number 3. So it's a light shoe. Again, are we going to go that it's a light, or is it a heavy shoe based on that value, that x-axis? I'm pretty sure we're going to go light shoe. So we're going to double down on that, light shoe. We haven't spoken about price here, but price should really come into it as well. And, fast laces. What is it? Is it fast laces? So, you've got all these elastic laces these days. You've got the ones that they're a cable and you zip them up really, really fast. You've got ones with no laces, which is kind of like the elastic laces. You've got Velcro. That was the first shoes you probably owned as a kid, first sneakers you owned as a kid. I don't think we're doing that, but one of those. So you might go, let's go elastic laces. All right, now we're into the audience category. So, great opportunity to talk with your team. Who is our customer? So, for example, in this case, we might have, multiple audiences. So, for example, runners is the obvious one. You can talk about demographics, but psychographics is probably the most important thing. And psychographics are likes, interests, attitudes, lifestyle. So versus age, geographics, etc. But most business ideas and products are marketed to a geographic location first. And yes, when you're actually doing that in social media land, and you're doing the targeted advertising, you can define the age, but then most importantly, you can also define the interests. And so that's why we have to talk about these things in a team environment, and potentially even that other research that we're going to do, should help us define what this audience is and what their psychographics are. So audience number 1, let's just say, for argument's sake, that they're 18 to 30 and they are athletes. running athletes, right? Then we've got maybe it's 30 to 50 market. Maybe they have a different need to the younger ones. For example, that the younger market, they don't care about whether they're mid-striking, heel striking, or they're super resilient. They don't have the injuries of the older folk. So they don't really care about all of this support stuff. They just want the lightest, sexiest looking shoe, for example. Maybe the quickest shoe, to put on, like we talked about before, the elastic laces. So 30 to 50 and running athletes, these might be executives. Let's just say, the executive market like to go out and do a triathlon or like to encourage running as one of their daily activities, for example. Then we've got audience 3. Well, wait a minute. We've got all these athletes doing all of this really cool stuff, and then we've got younger and older. What about the kids? The kids are going to absolutely want to follow in their footsteps. So the kids aren't the customer though, right? We're going to market it to the kids. Kids, for example, we're going to put that in there, but realistically in audience 4, it's going to be parents. So while you might actually define your audience and target market to be the kids, you definitely can't sell to them. And, in terms of actual targeting and whatnot, it's the parents that have got the money. So that's really handy because then in your audience targeting, you can go, well, they're a parent. And you can actually even define in many advertising platforms, especially across social, what age people are and whether or not they have kids and what age the kids are. So content. What's the content we're going to create? Well, video is nearly always, number one these days. I'll be perfectly honest. It's gone, like that over the years. And it's highly digestible across social media. And you've got the format mostly being portrait now. So landscape is great for YouTube, but portrait is across nearly every other social channel. So do we define that? Yes, let's just go portrait. Because that we might have to say video landscape as well, right? Now, in landscape terms, that might also mean that you want to do a TVC. So let's put in here TVC as well. That might help us figure out whether or not we're actually going to run a TVC. And in most cases, we should probably start doing a video for social media first before we even consider the broadcast channels. Content 3, we might do podcast. Well, that actually covers off the other 2 as well. So podcasts are nearly always not just audio now, they're also video content. And content 4, what about a demo? Do we actually want to go to schools or do we want to market to schools? And what's that look like? It might even be a presentation. For example, we want to sell into retail stores, so we have to do a presentation. Now, the video works really well with the presentation type of thing, but those are just 4 types of content, right? There could be many, many more, and I took up 3 boxes pretty much across the same sort of style of content or type of content. So video, and podcast, well, they're all in one. So we could probably put all those others into 1. So video / podcast. Then we might go, we have to blog. Why do we want to blog? Blogging is got to be still today the best way to gain good organic rankings for on Google, and look, yes, you could be using ChatGPT, but to be perfectly honest, human written content still outweighs robots, and that could change. Of course it could, But if you do want to get cut through, if you do want the humans to actually read it and not just talk bot to bot, then I would encourage human-created blogs. It might be infographics as well. So, for example, if you do an infographic, it's a great way for people to understand the complex problem that you're wanting to get across, like the solution, and normally digest it in seconds versus minutes. So people can skim an infographic, they can really understand the solution that you're offering much easier, and there's not a lot of reading required. It's pictures and maybe a few bits of text. So infographics are really helpful, and let's just write those down too. They look great in your presentation as well. Turn on what channels? Okay, I think we've said this before. LinkedIn. Now, why LinkedIn? Well, hey, I put that in the wrong box there. Maybe that's when we're talking to the executives. LinkedIn, excellent. For the younger running athletes, where are we going to be? YouTube. And depending on how young they are, you might actually go, let's move that across to TikTok. We've got kids there. So we've got those two working together. And parents, where are they going to be? Facebook/Instagram. You can couple those two because they're owned by the same entity and they can be interconnected. Ignite. How much money we're going to spend on this business or marketing campaign or product creation. You can break all of that down here. It depends what level you're at. So look, I'm in marketing, so let's just stick to marketing. We've got YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Facebook as where we're turning on. So let's just say, hey, we're going to do, we want to boost everything in YouTube, and we want to make sure, because we want to make sure we're getting views. No point putting great content out there and it not getting any views. So let's say $50 per video, just to start off with. LinkedIn, let's say $150 per post, per sponsored post, obviously. TikTok, absolutely, you can decide the size of what you want to spend there as well. They can all be boosted. So TikTok, we might say, I don't know, let's put 500. We really want the kids to see this. 500 per, post. It doesn't have to be every post, but, and then we can decide later how many of those we're going to do. And Facebook, Instagram, you've got multiple different metrics that you can be following in the next step. So if we looked at verification and validation and we said for Facebook and Instagram we want followers, well, our investment for followers, that is basically promoting Reels, is generally the best way to get followers on Instagram and Facebook. And so, Instagram specifically. And so we might say that we have a budget of, just for argument's sake, $500 per month, bare minimum, to promote. Our objective is to get them back to the profile, so that's for followers. Verification, validation. There are so many KPIs that you can put in here. It's endless. You can break this down into your different teams. You might have your marketing team, your sales team, your product creation team, and you might even have, what else? Your executive team. For example, they might have some KPIs as well. Okay, but for the sake of marketing, result number one, leads. We can talk about leads. It's really important. In our case, we've got a shoe. We've created a shoe. We're going to sell it online, and we want it in retailers. So we still want leads. So marketing qualified leads would be really important, but sales qualified leads as well. So they'd be really important, and we want those marketing qualified leads and maybe sales qualified leads. They'd be really up there. But how do we get to those stages, right? We've got to create all the marketing content. We've got to distribute it through turning it on those channels, like I said, and we've got to boost it, and then we've got to get them back to the website, the platform, for example. So we want not only our social media advertising and our offline advertising to be directing people back to the website and a landing page, for example, but we also want our blogs to be doing that organic work as well. So some of the really early stage KPIs that you need to look at are SEO related. Now you could just write in here verification, validation. You're in the team environment. Is SEO really important to us? And you could ask the whole team, and it might depend on their capability to do SEO, or it might depend on you saying, hey, look, we understand that SEO is really important because if we're getting more organic traffic, it means that's a perfect indicator to say that our product is actually in more people's awareness, so brand recognition is higher. And me personally, if I see brand-related searches or direct traffic coming to a website, and that's on the increase, then I know we are getting early signs of the later improvements across the other KPIs like marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads. So I really love SEO. I'm just going to write that down here, SEO. And, I'm starting to get down in the weeds here, but I still got further to go with SEO. You might go to your SEO team, come back to us with what those key KPIs are. And look, my favorites are nearly always average time on page, average pages per user, and generally keyword rankings, which you started to explore in the research phase up here. So there's some verification validation ideas for you. Evolve. Okay, so the evolution of your product needs to, I guess, start to form some kind of relative timeline. So a realistic timeline versus that big, hairy, audacious goal that you had to, conquer the world or, solve the shoe problem in X country, for example, like give every kid on the planet a pair of shoes, for example. I mean, that's a big, hairy, audacious goal, and that's absolutely fantastic. But we need to start being a little bit more, staged. So evolution number one might be that you actually just start, right? That you've got a website running. So let's get the website I'm running. What kind? It's going to be e-commerce. Because we're already doing the strategy, I wouldn't write strategy down here in the evolution, right? Because the website evolves from the strategy. Evolution number two might be, okay, we've got content creation happening and it's released. So that's happening in the second month, for example. In the third month, we're starting to release and advertise. And in the fourth month, we're going to present to retailers. So if your fourth evolution of your strategy was to present to retailers, you got to start prospecting 3 months earlier, right? So the different teams that you've got in the room might have different boxes and different focuses. And so therefore, this one-page marketing strategy that you've almost, started to create here, it's definitely not finished. It's still in work in progress, but it could be slightly tweaked for each individual team. So long as we're all aligned and you can start to write those alignments in the boxes above, right? And you could say, and the period up here is, okay, this is first quarter. Yeah, quarter number 1, 2024 for argument's sake, right? And this could be the start of it all. You might break this down to month 1 and go through each individual team's one-page proactive strategy. Guys, I hope that helps. This is a great, like I said, this is a great way to involve your team. It's a great way to start getting ideas on paper and break down the discussion into a really simple form. And look, there's far more questions to be answered underneath each one of these 9 boxes. And I'm going to take you through those in future episodes of the Proactive Podcast. Thanks for watching. My name's Chris Hogan from eMedia, and you can keep watching these episodes on our YouTube channel, linked via our website, memedia.com.au, or you can listen to them on Apple and Spotify. Cheers. See you soon.